Hello there, I'm Garvey49. I'm the Roboteer who currently owns Dystopia. I compete in the FRA live events throughout the UK. I've also competed in Robot Wars itself as a Roboteer. Hopefully you'll be seeing me coming up in the next few episodes. And I want to offer an insight from a Roboteer's perspective on how fights are judged and how fights are awarded based on what we see in front of us. Um, Obviously, in the last episode, we had a fight between PP3D and Cherub, and a lot of people seem to look at that fight and not really understand how the judging works. A lot of people say that PP3D got the last hit, it got the biggest hit, so how did it not win? Unfortunately, we don't judge fights based on who got the biggest hit. We don't judge fights on who got the last hit or anything like that, because the robots both effectively knocked each other out. Cherub knocked out PP3D by transferring its energy back into itself, so PP3D could no longer drive across the arena. Of course, PP3D did hit Cherub with its disc in order to immobilise it. So we're going to have a look at the rules as Robot Wars actually says them itself. So if you want to go onto the website, you'll be able to see the three major categories that are being judged. So we have damage, causing clear damage to an opponent, both visually and internally; aggression, constantly taking the battle to its opponents; and then control, demonstrating good driving skills and weapon accuracy throughout the battle. Now, just as a disclaimer, the FRA judges their fights differently to how Robot Wars judges them. I have had a look at how the FRA would have judged this fight, and does actually come to the same conclusion. However, we're going to be looking at this in the way that Robot Wars would have judged it, so as if we as an actual judge sitting there trying to judge this according to the criteria we've been given. So we're giving 3 points to aggression, 2 points to damage, and 1 point to control for every single engagement. Now, we'll define an engagement as we go on, because you'll see it becomes a little bit blurred. So let's start the fight and we'll see what the first engagement is. So straight out the gate we see PP3D go across to the side of the arena to allow it to spin up its disc. Now, makes an important distinction that the Robot Wars rules don't say that you'd lose points. So if you display unaggression, you don't lose aggression points. In the same sense that if you have bad control, say driving into the house robot, you don't lose control. Now, if you did, it would be double jeopardy, as we see later on in the fight, where PP3D hits Cherub into the house robot release button, and then if Cherub was to lose points because of its poor aggression or poor control, then it would be double jeopardy in the sense that PP3D has managed to gain points whilst Cherub loses points. So that's the first thing that we want to clear up. As we move forward, we'll be able to see that we're only gaining points from here on. And so we see the first hit as PP3D comes around the side of Cherub. That's obviously very good control, so we get a point for control in there. It's also a point for aggression because PP3D is now taking the fight to Cherub. Even though it ran away originally, it's now bringing the fight to Cherub now that its disc is spun up. So points for aggression and control. As we see, Cherub gets flung away, but there's no damage. If you pause it and have a look, there's no mobility loss, there's no obvious damage, no panels have fallen off, there's no gashes in the side that we can see. So there's no damage for this hit. So after that first engagement, PP3D now has 1 point for aggression and 1 point for control. I'll leave it in that sense for the moment because we'll add them up later. We see immediately though that Cherub turns and comes straight at PP3D, lifting the disc up into the air. Now, that's very good control from Cherub. It's managed to get straight in with its most well-protected region, straight onto PP3D. It's also very good aggression. It's driving straight at PP3D. It's not holding back. It's taking the fight to PP3D, and that's obviously what the definition of that is. There doesn't seem to be any damage from this, however, even though PP3D does land on the floor quite heavily. It doesn't seem to have impacted its mobility throughout the fight. After this, there's no structural damage, obviously. So we're going to give aggression and control to Cherub there, and obviously no points to PP3D because it hasn't managed to effectively use itself. It's been attacked rather than attacking. So as PP3D lands, we can see Cherub attacks again twice, hitting it once before with PP3D bouncing back, and then before hitting it again as it goes over the flame pit. Now that counts as one continuous attack. Cherub is just simply driving forwards at that time. It doesn't change direction at any point. It doesn't use its weapon at any point. So that's one continuous attack, which again gives it control because it's a very controlled attack. Also aggression because it's taken the fight to PP3D. Now, of course, there's no damage still, so we're now at 2 for control and aggression for Cherub. Now, as PP3D lands from that third hit, we see Cherub come around it along onside the flame pit and then hit it again. So that's good aggression. It's taking the fight again to PP3D, being very aggressive throughout this entire play. It's good control as well, because again, he's managed to hit PP3D with the right part of of his robot. However, as PP3D turns, it manages to clip Cherub and send him into the tyre. So that's good control there for PP3D. It was able to get his weapon into the right place. However, it wasn't really an aggressive move, it was a defensive move. So there's no aggression point really for that. However, of course, it does get the control point. So from this play, we get a control point and an aggression point for Cherub, whereas we get a control point for PP3D as well. So now we go into what I was saying earlier about the double jeopardy, and that Cherub's now gone into the tyre and is now going to be attacked by the house robot because of the rogue house robot. PP3D's already got the points for attacking him and pushing him into the tyre. However, there's no damage caused by PP3D, so he's not going to get the damage awarded to him that dead metal causes. It's inconvenient to Cherub, of course, but that's not for PP3D chip. PP3D is now going to go away, which is a non-aggressive move, spin its disc up and be ready for an engagement. This is very good tactical play for PP3D. It's able to get its weapon up to full speed, which will hopefully allow it to score a lot of points for the next hit. However, whilst it's doing this, it's not scoring any points in the meantime. It's not being aggressive, it's not being controlled, it's not being damaging. It's obviously quite far away from Cherub at this point. It's just getting ready for that next big hit, which we see right up now. And so there's the big hit that PP3D has been spinning up for. It's caused damage. It's caused damage both to itself and to Cherub. So the fight has to be stopped because they're both not able to continue. Obviously, we had to fix the arena first anyway, but even once we started, they never got going again. Now, that last hit got damage, control, and aggression. It scored in everything. That's a good 6 points when you put that through the criteria. So that one hit managed to basically double PP3D's score throughout the entire fight. It's a very big hit. It's a very big scoring hit as well. It's something that would win you the match in most cases if it hadn't been for Cherub being on top throughout the entire match. So now if we go back and look at the scores, you'll see what I mean by this. So here I've made a really cheap graphic. Admittedly, I'm not one for computer graphics, so I've just done something quick on Paint just to visualise what we've got. So we've got PP3D here on the left and Cherub on the right. We obviously have to multiply, so aggression is worth 3 points for each point, damage is worth 2, and then control is worth 1. So we was talking about how PP3D did score some damage, so we got that one bit of damage there in that final hit. In terms of the aggression, however, Cherub was on top of that fight. He managed to get those 3 consecutive hits in a row, and that's what really counted towards it. It was dominating that section of the fight. PP3D managed to get the first hit in, but after that it didn't really get any aggression until the house robot came along. The control, it certainly got a control point for when it turned into Cherub to counter-attack. However, that wasn't an aggressive move, it was more PP3D counter-attacking, it was a defensive move. Good control certainly, but not aggression. In terms of damage, there wasn't really any damage, again, to PP3D, apart from when it destroyed itself, so Cherub gets no damage whatsoever. It's a very close fight overall, but as you can see, the score does go in Cherub's favour. So the one little elephant in the room is that this isn't quite how Robot Wars is scored. Robot Wars is actually scored subjectively, so they're scored on a ratio of 1 to 5 in each category. So even though we can see here that Cherub is more aggressive than PP3D, we don't know how much more aggressive it is. Maybe PP3D got a 2, maybe Cherub got a 5, for example. That's not something I wish to go into, just because it is subjective. Personally, I'd say that Cherub got very high for aggression, whereas PP3D's aggression was mostly counter-attacks to Cherub or getting around the side. Control, in terms of, I think they're both actually very equal. They seem to be very well controlled, pair of them. And of course, damage. PP3D had a lot more damage. Unfortunately, because damage gets a lot less multiplier than aggression, it still works out, with Cherub still beating PP3D. So admittedly, this video's gone on a bit longer than what I thought it would when I first started out. However, hopefully it gives you a good insight into how the judges may score it. It's not obviously going to be 100% accurate, that different judges may view different things. However, it may be a good insight into how a roboteer like myself may judge it, and you can show, even though it's a very close fight, it is possible to come out with Cherub as the victor. So the fact that there was 3 judges who all decided that Cherub was the victor is not actually surprising, really. It's not fix, it's not a hoax, it's a genuine competition, and that is the result. If you want to have a look at some of the explanations, Noel Sharkey has put them up on Twitter. But apart from that, I hope you enjoyed the video.